Hey, this is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com. And I just come off a client session where I was channeling a being that's new to me. I've mentioned it on Facebook without talking about who it is, but I just want to bring through this brief little channel message as part of um, an update for the Pluto-Saturn and Capricorn thing. I did a 12-minute update yesterday talking about Ceres being involved in the mix. I just want to do these brief updates. So I'll be talking more about who this being is, but in the short term, I'm not going to get into that right now. But I just want to give you this idea in the context of the Pluto-Saturn challenges. Anything in Capricorn, and then Saturn itself, will bring up history. And Pluto and Saturn are saying, be empowered, step up, be mature, be realistic, be grounded, make concrete decisions, be ambitious. What do you want? Whatever, right? And it's natural that your history will come up. Then here's the message. The narratives that are floating around in your head and your heart about who you are and what your experiences mean are not true. Intellectually, you'll understand this. I believe many of you will, most of us will. They're not true. They're stories that are essentially chosen to help you try to understand why things happen. So the message for the client, for example, was any narrative about why this thing happened in the past that makes you feel reduced, small, put in a box, that makes you feel like you should be shrinking or should stay small or something, not trust yourself, not like or respect yourself. Any narrative that fits that vibration, don't believe it. So the message from this being is about those stories that humans tell ourselves are never truth. Just like I was born in 1972. When I'm a kid and I'm learning about Christopher Columbus, the discovery by Europeans, not even the discovery by Europeans, the discovery of North America, right? Well, then as I've grown up, I've learned different versions of this story, different ways of putting that in context of larger patterns and larger stories and larger histories. Even to the point where I've channeled Hermes, who was Ascended Master Jehudi, Thoth, Merlin, Saint Germain, that being that I channel quite often, and some of you may have heard me talk about. Even to the point of channeling that being, saying, oh yeah, one of my human lives was as Christopher Columbus, and here's the point of all of this crucible of North America, blah, 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 blah. So even that bird's eye view from a multidimensional perspective, now I have all these stories about Christopher Columbus. And then we have like the effects of First Nations Native Americans, right? The effects on them. And now protest about Columbus Day. What I'm saying is the narrative that I was fed as a child, I mean, all throughout my schooling, is a version of a story. So the message is regarding Pluto-Saturn, when you might at times feel pressed to step up, to be more, to do more, to take on responsibility, to fulfill an obligation, or to opt to sacrifice something in order to make something work, or to be there for somebody, or to be there for yourself even, or to produce something, or to own ambition. That pressure and all that stuff, the stories you tell yourself about who you are will affect how willing you are to respond to Pluto and Saturn's invitations or pressures and challenges. This is the other, that's paragraph 1. Paragraph 2 is, my paragraphs, whatever, it's just this meandering. Anyway, the second part of this message, this brief update is, Saturn, since it does have to do with history, well, I mean, it also has to do with long-term planning for the future, building something. And looking at, between its rulership of Capricorn and the co-rulership of Aquarius, looking at what I'm doing today, realistically speaking, does that help me build a future I want to live in that matters to me? Build a community, build a family, build a future that I want to live in. So our stuff about our history, it's natural for it to come up and swirl around and actually be kind of mental or emotional fog in that can seem to cloud us from being clear about what we need to do and respond to the pressure and tension of the Pluto-Saturn and Capricorn stuff. But also it might have us living into the future because we don't know what's going to happen next. But the medicine of Saturn is presence. Okay, yeah, I've been shaped by what's come before. Here I am in this moment. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I may not know, especially Saturn conjunct Pluto, if I can handle this, or I'm not sure if I'm making the right choice, right? I have to make a decision. I'm not sure if it's the right one. Part of you isn't sure, in part because of that history of who you think you are. So it's easy with these two planets in Capricorn, to finish the second part up, it's easy to live in the past, judgment of self, the narratives that hold me back, that make me feel small, right? And it's easy to also live in the future. I don't know what's going to happen, so should I be afraid? The medicine is presence. Take a deep breath, as I talked about in the video yesterday. Take a deep breath. Let that breath out. Ground, send cords into the earth. Be aware of your body. Stay in your body. Okay, what is it that needs to be done right now? Meeting that is the medicine. But I also want to be clear that all of this success with what I'm suggesting necessarily involves or requires, rests upon holding space for these emotional issues that are coming up: fear, pain, guilt, shame, sorrow, grief, whatever. Self-worth issues, doubt, self-doubt would be huge with the Saturn Pluto in Capricorn. Holding space for those parts of you while remembering they are not who you are. Those narratives are narratives. They're versions of telling a story so that your mental self, or your linear logical self, your mind, can have an idea of why things happened, so you can determine blame, but also try not to repeat pain. Okay, if there's more, I'll do more updates, but I just wanted to offer you that image of living in the past, living in the future, my ideas about who I am versus what needs doing in this moment, and what I will allow, that I'm capable of in this moment, this hour, this afternoon, today, as opposed to living in the past and the future, or the past, yeah, the past and the future. All right, anyway, so that's my little update. Thanks for your time and energy. Take care of yourself.